Can you imagine that the crimes of our ancestors can follow us today? Macrina was the firstborn child of 7. Unfortunately, her family were desperately poor. Her father was a carpenter and her mother was a petty goods trader. Over the years, Macrina spent hours of her time doing everything possible to help her family raise her younger siblings. She would sacrifice going to school, sacrifice her time, her energy, help her mother sell food items in front of their house. Little by little, Macrina's resentment grew. She didn't understand how her parents could allow themselves to have 7 kids, knowing that they had no money. One day, while she was speaking to her friend, Macrina was introduced to a praying altar called NSPPD with Pastor Jerry Eze. There, her friend told her that this was a place to pray every morning and share her deepest sorrows, and God would answer. So she started praying at the altar every morning. One Wednesday morning, the topic of prayer was, Lord, show me mercy. The pastor urged everyone to pray for mercy, to analyze and think about the past and how the past could be affecting their present. He spoke about how we as individuals could be suffering from the sins of our forefathers that we may know nothing about. The idea of her suffering from the consequences and actions of her ancestors really burned something in her. She felt a fire to pray and pray even harder than she'd ever prayed before. That evening, she had a dream. She had a dream that she was having a conversation with Pastor Eze, in which he told her that she should look into her roots, and there she will find something that is hindering God from blessing her and her family. Upon waking, Macrina took this as a sign from God. Clearly, there was research she had to do. So she started asking her family, her father, her mother, her aunts and uncles, wanting to find out more about their family, their lineage, and what could potentially have gone wrong. At first, her family members laughed her off, thinking that this was a pointless endeavor. But the more she spoke to them and the more she learned, she realized that every single member of her family had a dark, dark tale. Some had been convicted of theft, some had never had the opportunity to study, some had never even had the chance to own their home. She couldn't understand why so much sorrow in one family was possible, and yet nobody thought to ask questions, nobody was praying against it. There needed to be an answer and a solution. Macrina continued to search. Her friend introduced her to a famed historian who was known for researching and analyzing people's roots all the way back to the pre-colonial era. Meeting said historian at their local library, Macrina recounted the information she had, the stories she'd been told, and begged this historian to help her find the answers. A few months later, and the historian came back to her. He had found information about who she was and the family she came from. The historian had traced her roots all the way back to post-colonial era, Adembe Musa and his friend Akelo. Both were gentlemen of her tribe who were known and praised as being strong and praised within the community. Unfortunately, an altercation between the two occurred. When the colonial masters appeared, their goal was to conscript every able-bodied man into the military of their choosing. Dembe and Akelo, hearing about this, decided to create a plan in which they would escape to ensure they were never part. Unfortunately, the day they were set to run away, the colonial masters caught them. During interrogation, Dembe confessed that the whole plan was Akelo's idea, that he had nothing to do with it, and he went along under duress. Upon hearing this, the colonial masters sentenced Akelo to by firing squad, and in turn praised Dembe and gave him a position within the army. On the day Akelo was set to meet his end, he turned to his former friend Dembe in anger and anguish and told him, "You and your generation shall never prosper, never live a long life, and never see money. This I tell you and your descendants to come." On that day, Dembe felt sad. He felt he had betrayed a good friend. However, noting that colonial masters were willing to give him any number of women as his wives and promote him to the highest rank available, he quickly threw that thought away and enjoyed his new lifestyle. Over the years, his plenty wives gave birth to plenty kids, and that is where his lineage began. Unfortunately for his descendants, Akelo's curse followed them. Each and every one of them suffered issues with health, money, and prosperity. Upon hearing this, Macrina was shocked, devastated, and a little relieved. She finally knew how best to direct her prayers. The next morning, during the NSPPD prayer service, she prayed. She prayed with all her heart, all her anguish, and begged the good Lord to forgive Dembe and forgive her family. From that moment, thanks to Macrina's prayers, things started to change in her family. Her father's carpentry business turned around. It started bringing in money. Her mother's trading was going well. Macrina even had the chance to earn a full ride scholarship into a high school in Switzerland. From that moment, little by little, Macrina's family life got better. Now she is determined to research and rewrite history so that all may know where they truly come from. It's important that we pray for mercy, for we may not know the crimes our ancestors have committed that we are still suffering from. Now that's our story for today. That's all I got for you guys today. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at Entangled Web Stories, and I'll see you in another episode. Bye!